"50 Women, a celebration of women's contribution to ceramics," is the first exhibit in NCECA history that features only female artists of this scale. The part I played in the 50 Women exhibit was to be the local liaison and the Kansas City kind of connector for this, because our curators were both from different parts of the country. Historically, in the arts, women have been excluded, they've been devalued, they've just not been recognized for the contributions that they make. And so being able to organize an all-woman show with 50 women ceramic artists is making history. What I would want young women to take from this exhibit is to see the women featured in this show as mentors, and to see that women are making significant contributions to ceramics. Women have a voice, and that a young woman who is a new artist, feels encouraged that she too can become a successful artist herself.
The 50 Women exhibition, to me personally, is a concept that Tony and I came up with at an NCECA 2 years ago, and it was really just in relation to seeing a need for it. And so we did further research and found that it had in fact not occurred, and so that's where the project began. For us, in relation to this specific show, we were very conscious of creating a cross-section of women, female makers in clay today. But as I walk through this physical space, I see works by people I know well, people who I've never met before, but we were curated into the show, and the surprises. So some in the work, as well as in the online presence. So on our album of women artist makers around the world, just the influx of 400 some artists who have sent us images. That camaraderie and the bringing together of women makers around the world has had a personal impact on me.
NCECA is an organization that's made up of, every year it varies between 4,500 and 6,000 ceramic enthusiasts. There are instructors, there are students, and then there are local just hobbyists and ceramic artists. We wanted to do a show which took pieces from many different hierarchical positions and put them on the same plane. And I think that's, for me, that's one of the most important parts of the show, is to be very egalitarian and have people look at work absent of these sort of matrices of judgment. All of the artists we either know or familiar with, and there are some who are very big celebrities within the field, but there are others who are very obscure, and I think that builds a connection among people walking through, because if it was just going to be an exhibition of people like Bean Finneran and Tip Tolan, when an undergraduate comes through, they would be sort of, they're the other. Whereas in here, it's like, they're not the other, they're just an older and harder working version of you. And I said at the opening, the first step to doing great things is imagining that you can do great things. And we hope that's what this exhibition does.
I actually became involved due to Sana Musasama, who was my mentor in the ceramics program at Hunter College in New York City. She became part of the show, and I saw that they were running a fundraiser on Indiegogo. Being the media person that I am, I just took a look at the Indiegogo campaign and kind of said, well, hey, they need a little bit of help kind of defining what the story is about and how to shape that story around the artists that they had. So I emailed Alex and Tony and basically volunteered my services. I was really happy when the UMKC volunteers signed on to the project with her art project. And then once they actually started talking to the American Jazz Museum, we were all really psyched about that. You know, for the first time in 50 years, we have a show of 50 women that's never been done in the history of NCEQA, and then we also have the added bonus of it being in this wonderful facility with the Jazz Museum and the Negro Leagues, the Baseball Museum. I think it's you have a culturally rich environment here in this particular little corridor of Kansas City, and I think that was probably just why we were so amped and happy that the Jazz Museum signed on to do this particular exhibition.
So what I wanted to be able to do was put together an exhibition that would share the story of each artist separately yet collectively, celebrating women within the ceramic arts. I work on sketches prior to the exhibit so that I know where I'd like for the work to be placed and the story that I'd like for the artwork to tell. What this exhibit actually did was give the American Jazz Museum an opportunity to introduce artists of a different caliber to the community overall. And the artists that we have in this exhibition are superior artists. They're all telling a very different story, yet a story through an educated eye. So in doing so, that is what was very intriguing to me in putting together and installing this particular exhibit. And I wanted people to engage in the work and understanding the craft of the artist, like Linda Lighton, Bernadette Torres, which is the very first piece that you see, Carrie Esser, whose work is absolutely phenomenal, sharing their stories and sharing their craft. That's what a good installer does.